UiPath Agentic Automation, the next frontier of enterprise transformation. Media partner CNBC TV 18.
Hello and a very warm welcome to UiPath presents Agentic Automation, the next frontier of enterprise transformation. Today we are here to unpack what's driving this big shift in enterprise automation, where the real impact lies, and how organizations can take smart, confident first steps. This conversation comes at a pivotal time as UiPath and Deloitte, two front runners in the automation space, strengthen their strategic collaboration. Together, they are redefining how large-scale transformations like ERP modernization can be delivered faster, smarter, and with far less disruption, thanks to an automation-first agentic approach. I'm joined here by two industry leaders who have been right at the heart of this transformation. Ashim Gupta, CFO and COO at UiPath, and Vinay Prabhakar, Sales and Alliance Leader and Chief Commercial Officer, Deloitte South Asia. Thank you, gentlemen, for giving me your time and coming to the studio. UiPath's own ERP transformation has been something. When you particularly moved to SAP S/4HANA, that was a benchmark. Could you walk us through that journey? What really led to it? Why did you feel it was critical to do that? And what were the early learnings? Ashim, what do you have to say?
Look, I think looking at where UiPath came from, we were under $50 million of revenue in 2018, scaling to $1.6 billion just in this current year. And when you look at that and having 10,800 plus customers, it became a time where our old system was not going to do what it needed to do. And so like every company that is scaling and going through these changes, an ERP change can be daunting. You go back and you look at a lot of people's experiences.
Yep.
A lot of times you don't either get the ROI that you were expecting, or sometimes in the worst case scenario, in all of the customization and all the gyrations to make the system fit you, you end up creating a lot of risk and a lot of bumps for your company. Great partners like Deloitte, collaborating with them, we looked at it as really an opportunity to build the right infrastructure, the right architecture, and frankly, the architecture that our customers are asking for. An architecture where you don't have a monolithic system because you feel like you need everything to be perfectly integrated and don't trust yourself to create those connections. Or the spaghetti system, where you have a ton of systems that are being, proliferated across your organization as it scales. So why agentic? I think you can look and there's a choice. You can either change the engine of your car and ride the same road. We looked at it as an opportunity to really just transform not just the vehicle, but the trajectory of the road itself to where we wanted to get to. We wanted to be obsessed with our customers. We wanted to be able to invest in R&D, in the front end part, which means all of those processes, all of the cost of systems, including customizations, our own platform, Agentic Automation, really gave us the strike zone to go and do something completely different. So when you look at our journey, right from talking to the people that were key punching into the system, that were using robots in their traditional tasks, we were able to discover what they were doing, to design the system with Deloitte, and to understand what are the gaps. And instead of creating custom code, typically you look at a system, you say more than 15 to 20 to 30% can be customized, meaning custom code. That's very expensive to do, very expensive to maintain, and fraught with fears. Using our automations, agentic automation and robotic automation, to be able to not customize that expensive system, but create a more agile way of doing that, along with traditional technologies like APIs. That was within our grasp. And by doing so, we actually completed our ERP implementation in really a record time. We were a couple months ahead of schedule from where we originally thought. And on top of that, we ended up with 93% what they call clean core. And that clean core means that we have a very pure system that is agile to continue to flex with us as we go forward.
How would you characterize the current state of enterprise automation? Where are we? And also why this shift to agentic automation, especially at this time, is very critical, Vinay?
I guess the timing is right with the advancement of technology, with the ask from the business community to say, for desire to have more from what is available, and automation being automation plus, right? I think so culmination of all these three are enabling us to ask the question saying, can we get more from what exists today? So if I were to just go a few years back when the automation was the big thing, we talked about automating the tasks. Now the question is, can I get more than just the automation of the task? Can I get more intelligence around it?
Yeah.
And that's the moot question that's being asked. So I guess the journey, I would say, is from a task creator, from just an executor, to a leader in that task. And that journey and the path is what we are taking from Agentic and the Agentic AI is what I would say. So I would say that in summary, the timing is absolutely right now.
What were some of the integration insights, especially when we are looking at legacy systems, the transition? And I think that is one aspect that not just from UiPath's point of view, but if we were to bring in the experience of other companies that are looking to do that transformation and that expectation from now an automated agent is far much more. For companies that are not that embedded in tech, where do they start their journey? How does this coming together happens?
Well, if you're asking me for a path which organizations should take, I would say a good starting step would be where they notice that friction is the most. In terms of manual interventions that is needed, and the organization strongly believe that with automation and with the intelligent automation put in, they're able to kind of free up a lot of time, energy, etc., and it's going to generate a lot of value. That's the area where you would actually typically start with. Organizations, it's not something that you would turn automated overnight, right? It's a journey that you need to take. So, we have seen organizations take smaller steps, but really good steps towards the actual journey of, where Agentic AI can actually be your assistance. We have seen organizations where they start this journey, I call that in different business personas. So, for example, the CFO's office, the CMO's office, the CIO's office, the head of risk office. There are several personas in an organization, the CEO's office as well. And there are areas which are areas that can be automated and with a lot of intelligence. And you start identifying those. It's okay to fail, but you fail fast so that you learn from it and you move on and you keep correcting yourself. And at a stage where I think organizations are different levels of maturity right now. Some of them are starting, as you see, most of them are in the POC stages. However, some of them are fairly advanced in actually questioning the art of possible. So I would say it is in a way, okay, you were a late starters, but maybe you could be a solid starter because you're going to start getting the value right from the get-go.
Art of possible.
Art of possible.
I always remember that.
Yes, the art of possible.
Yeah, that's one of Deloitte's favorite line.
Yeah, in fact, it is, right? And with every relationship, that's how we look at. Our alliances as a go-to-market is something which is extremely strong for us. And with UiPath, one of the things that we asked each other was, you get the best of technology, the best of automation. Deloitte gets the best of the business knowledge, if you may. And if I combine these two together, the art of possible is huge.
Yes.
Really well said.
Ashim, if I could just ask you, how did that transition come about for your company? Because, of course, there are challenges. And we are also looking at what wasn't possible before and what did it enable for you after the move?
Yeah, I think the first piece is when you look at kind of the old systems that were there, one of the things that came out quite a bit for us was decision making. Now technology enables decision making. So you look at agentic automation. In addition, and we talked about it, I think, in the beginning, where the task-oriented discussion versus really thinking about autonomous end-to-end automation, that is much more in scope. So what does end-to-end automation actually mean for us? It means it's not a series of basic tasks or even just rules-based tasks. Now you can combine it with the ability with AI, with generative AI, to do things that truly emulate what humans do. Responding to a customer, looking at an invoice to decide if it's at risk, being able to go and check with your colleagues to see, was this purchase order, were these goods really received? Is this data correct? Those are things that are now within our grasp and that are possible that weren't possible before. And I think when you couple that with actually the imagination of what our team can do, it means that they get to spend a lot more time talking with vendors, talking with customers, than spending time processing documents of customers, documents of vendors. And that for us is a real big step function change. And those are foundational, but you start adding to it.
Right.
You can start connecting a whole different equation in terms of going and mitigating risk. You talked about the office of the CRO. Going and being able to respond faster to customers who are making inquiries about your products. The CMO's office. You can go office by office, and with our platform, with UiPath's platform, coupled with the know-how of Deloitte and partners with that skill set, it creates an extremely good opportunity to not just transform back office, but transform business as a whole.
Wonderful. At this point, gentlemen, we'll take a short break. But when we come back, there is a lot to unpack more, so stay with us.
UiPath Agentic Automation, the next frontier of enterprise transformation. Media partner CNBC TV 18. UiPath Agentic Automation, the next frontier of enterprise transformation. Media partner CNBC TV 18.
Welcome back to UiPath presents Agentic Automation, the next frontier of enterprise transformation, where I am in conversation with Ashim Gupta, CFO and COO at UiPath, and Vinay Prabhakar, Sales and Alliance Leader and Chief Commercial Officer, Deloitte South Asia. Some of the myths or misconceptions or common challenges that other companies face? And what would be that one piece of advice when you are giving to perhaps companies that are now looking to expand their tech bouquet and shift? Vinay, what do you have to say?
I guess the common one is, what's going to happen to the existing jobs. We already covered that part. It's going to enhance more. You will be asked to, find the new normal,
right.
And hence you will enhance yourself, which is quite natural. So that's one myth. The second myth, that the misconception is, it's just an automated chatbot. I think it's much more than that, right? It's not just a chatbot, but much more intelligent, much more ability to make the decisions. The third misconception that typically people have is it's quite, it's only for enterprises which are very cash rich.
Right.
Right. And I guess it's relevant to everybody and anybody who can, and I guess with the advancement of technology and the infrastructure so easily quite available, I think it's affordable. So I don't think, and that misconception should be cleared, that it's not necessarily only for large enterprises.
Right.
The fourth is, which I commonly come across is, can I just build it on top of what I already have, right? Yes, you can build it. However, you'll have to redesign it. If you're just going to do the Band-Aid, you will face frustrations. So it's always a good idea to, use the existing one, enhance it, redesign it, and at least work off it, but not the Band-Aid part, right? Those are the 4 or 5 things that I said, I guess would be misconception, unless I missed anything.
No, I think that's really well said. I think the other piece is that, there's a fear of failure. I think that everybody...
The ROI you mentioned, everybody questions about that.
And I don't want to ever downplay or minimize ROI. I think we believe in the tangible ROI that agentic automation and automation at large can bring to an enterprise. We've seen it. We've seen it with, whether that's banks or healthcare saving money on claims processing or banks saving on regulatory compliance. There is tons of money to be saved. The question is, it's not just an implementation. It's a transformation and a cultural transformation that you have to rally not 5 people, but 95% of your workforce if you're going to do it at scale over time. So the first thing is start with those early wins. I think the first thing is success only comes in big tranches. Start with early wins. Start where you know that you can see that success, and you'll be surprised at how fast one piece of productivity snowballs into the transformation of an entire end-to-end process. And I think employees and customers who lean into that, we see the best of results from there.
Even with a 93% score, was there a moment where you were like, oh, all right, we have done well, and now we have to build from this. We could have done well, or this is beyond our expectations. What was that like?
I would argue we're still in that moment. Like, we're not satisfied with 93%. I remember sitting in a meeting with, the Deloitte implementation team and the UiPath, both from accounting levels all the way to our CIO, Mihai Far, and our Chief Accounting Officer, Hitesh Ramani. And the number of customizations that had been identified, we call, fit gaps, they were multiple pages long, and we were sitting there saying, this is daunting. I think when you put that power of creativity together and looking at our platform, we ended up being able to get to that 93%. Now, people ask, why is that important? Is it a vanity metric, or is there something of substance? The simple rule is the more custom, the more expensive. And the more custom, the less agile and flexible it is. So if you think about the world that's in front of us, whether it's with governments and laws changing, whether it's the demand on processes, whether it's on employee preferences, the companies that are the most flexible and the processes that are the most flexible will be the most resilient. Yeah. So that clean core for us gives us the best of SAP, but gives us the best possibility to continue to have a really efficient future. So our goal is to go from 93% to higher. And we're going to continue to look to say, what was that customization? Why did we feel we need it? And I think that's another thing on the journey is,
in your partnership as well.
Yeah, it's never bad to look back and to say, we're still going. We took this road, but we made that choice. Let's revisit it. We can do better. And one of the questions that we often get is, we started with task-based automation. If you look around a task that is there, you will quickly find a process. And if you look at that process, you will quickly find a series of decisions that AI can also automate. So sometimes you get your best success from where you've already been.
So beyond ERP, where is this journey going?
Many use cases, customer, CRM.
Right, yeah.
ERP is just one example. Supply chain, HR, you name the process. I mean, we talked about business personas. Every one of those business persona has a use case which can be enhanced. Furthermore, it's all about, are we asking the right questions? Are we questioning the right process? So on and so forth. So it's much, much beyond ERP.
What in the next 5 years is exciting you about your own company and what's happening in the world, in the space of tech and in the industry as such?
I think the first is the art of the possible is going to be immensely practical. I mean, everything that we thought and dreamed of, I think is really within our grasp. So, just a quick story on that. Like one of our investor relations analysts, 7 hours collecting analyst reports, both with automation and then using generative AI and being able to interpret documents, full-fledged analysis, 1 hour after earnings, after the analyst reports were released, and analysis that would have probably taken days. That is today. So you start mapping that forward. Yeah. Imagine now connecting that with the boardroom. Imagine connecting it back with your financial planning teams to start answering questions proactively that are going to come up next. And so I echo what Vinay said, like whether you're in banking, healthcare, retail, manufacturing, we had an acquisition of a company that optimizes inventory and pricing decisions, ingesting large amounts of data. And in doing that, we can go and optimize inventory at a faster pace than what has ever been done before. So 5 years from now, I think what you're going to see is a really defined or new transformative workflow. Humans, agents, and robots, and them orchestrated across to really deliver outcomes that are oriented and tied from the C-suite all the way down to the ground level. And I think companies like Deloitte, partners like Deloitte, are so instrumental in helping us think through and helping customers think through where to go. So that marriage of technology and business know-how, there is a big dollar sign. And more than that, there's a big series of outcomes for customers and the entire ecosystem, that is within our grasp.
Vinay, what do you have to say?
One of the points from an advice standpoint would be to have that right governance in place, the data governance, the whole process governance, so on and so forth. And of course, I think it's a good idea, and I'm sure you would agree to it, is that when companies go through a journey, it is always good to, publicize it, that you're going through this journey. There's nothing to hide in it, because it just creates all the more, scare. But it is good for the organization, it's good for everybody. So it's the change management also.
Learnings are immense.
Learnings and change management.
And if I could double click, I think your point on governance is massive. If you look at, the industry at large, think about all of the compliance that so many of the companies, most every company has to go with. We use the word orchestration. When I talk about orchestrating robots, humans, and agents, it doesn't mean, a nice little FYI of here's what people are doing. It's truly connecting and creating the right metrics, governance, and transparency. And I think that is going to be immensely important in this age of AI. The governance and orchestration of AI agents, of robots and humans, that is going to be nice to have. It's going to be a true necessity that every customer should be asking about.
And also the channel of feedback, because the more you experiment, the more you include, absolutely the partnership sort of knows where we have to head next. And when more and more companies are doing that and sharing what their asks are, perhaps even at your end, where to go next.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we do run that annual event, right? I mean, it's a CXO event that we run, and the whole purpose is to kind of get the art of possible. And in fact, UiPath is one of our partners who sponsored that as well. But yes, so there are forums wherein these topics do come up. These are the asks that we have from personas, and that also kind of brings me to the point when you ask, what do you see 5 years from now, right? I mean, that's, I guess, a good ideal situation would be when each of these business personas that we talked about, a CFO's office would have an assistant, CMO's office would have an assistant, and the pyramid would have, each of the leaders would have their own assistants to actually enhance their job profile, right? And that would be a fantastic way to achieve what we want to achieve.
Fantastic. That's a good note to have a conclusion, which is that this is the big picture, which is not just emerging, but it's right there. And the partnerships are making all the big difference. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time and for all the insights. I'm absolutely sure that our audience had a lot to take in. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
All right, so yes, that's the big picture. Agentic automation is already changing the game. And as we have heard today, with the right tools and the right mindset, it's not just about doing things faster, it's about doing them smarter and better. Thanks so much for watching.
UiPath Agentic Automation, the next frontier of enterprise transformation. Media partner CNBC TV 18.